Well, would you look what's back? This 2014 Ram that I had here about 5 days ago that I did the oil pan on. The customer's complaint was the key wouldn't come out of the ignition. Well, he had a trouble with it this afternoon, and I started to drive into town to go and check it, and he called me and he said he got it shifted. Now you notice the gear shift indicator indicates reverse. The backup lights are on. The key won't turn off. It will turn to the accessory position. And the radio plays, but it won't start because the vehicle's not in park. And I can't shift the shifter from park. This is exactly what he was saying. I scanned it with the snap-on scanner just now, and there's no codes, but I'm going to scan it with this scan tool. Let's see what this thing does. The only code is for a left headlight, according to the snap-on scan tool. Oh, the cab is full of mosquitoes. Let's do a smart scan. Left high beam and left low beam headlight codes. Now this is the 5.7 Hemi. Man, the mosquitoes are bad in here. Let's see the codes in the BCM. Left high beam and left low beam. It's got a burnt out bulb or a problem with the ground on it or something. But that's minor. Let's go into the transmission. Oh, why is the TCM grayed out? On the snap-on scan tool, it wasn't grayed out. And I had communication with it. But why don't we have loss of communication with... Seems to me I just saw a YouTube channel that I follow with the same problem. Now, is that my problem or is that a problem with the scan tool? You know, we got no codes complaining about a loss of communication with the TCM, yet we got no communication with the TCM. Let's go back to the snap-on scanner. What is ASCM? Air suspension doesn't have that, thank God. Oh, I went into the air suspension by accident. I meant to cancel. Transmission control module. Enter. Today has been one of those days. All right, let's go back to the snap-on scanner. I just realized that the TCM might be integral to the PCM, but the snap-on scan tool may treat it as if it's a separate module, depending on whether it's got the 8-speed or the 6-speed transmission. I believe this is the 6-speed. Let's read fault codes just for shits and giggles. No codes. Let's look at data and see if we've got trans-related data. Data stream. I know there's a bunch of switches. Yeah, sure, look. Fourth 2C pressure switch, fourth pressure switch, low reverse pressure switch. So this doesn't have a separate transmission computer, and the snap-on scan tool is treating it like it does, even though it's in the PCM. So let's select all. Brake switch state, on, off. So it's seeing the brake switch change state. There's all the range switches, T1, T2, T3, T4.1, T4.2. Now I can't shift it, so I don't know what they're supposed to be. But normally if one of those switches is unrealistic, you'll have a fault code for incorrect mode or something like that. And there's no fault codes. Damn mosquitoes. Present gear, target gear. Okay, that didn't work. Park neutral switch filtered state off. I'm gonna look around. I was just sitting here with my foot on the brake, and I heard a solenoid in the shifter engage. Now it's back working again. No, not. Now it's not. But you saw it was in park. Now the gear shift is locked out again. Shit, I should have shut it off then, because I want to go in the house. I was sitting here with my foot on the brake, and I heard the solenoid in the steering column shifter click, and it showed that it was in park. So I'm in the radio frequency hub, looking at brake pedal switch, gated park switch says true, and if I pull the lever towards the steering column, it says false. So that switch is working, and the shifter is actually in park. Yet the transmission indicator is indicating reverse. It's got to have something to do with the range sensor in the transmission. So I'm graphing data in the PCM. The transmission range switches T1, T2, T3, T4, then T4.2. And they're all showing, well, T1 is open, T2 is closed, T3 is open, T4 is open, and T4.2 is closed. I wish I could find a chart that says what they're supposed to be in each position. And I wish it would fix itself again so I could see if they change state. It's strange that if these don't correlate, that it's not setting a fault code. So it's back in park. Reverse. Park. Now it's working fine again. All I did was hit the shifter like this, and it indicated park and everything back to normal again, just like it was before. I'm wondering if the gear shift cable is just on the verge. I'm going to take note of what these data parameters show as it goes through the range. So it's in park now, and we have open, closed, open, closed, closed. And then reverse, we have open, 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 closed. Well, that would explain why it's not setting a fault code. If it doesn't physically think the shifter is in park, then it's waiting for it to put it in park. But why is it acting okay now? Well, I'm going to put it up in the air and look at that transmission shifter linkage. So this is the status of the 5 switches and the Prundle display request. Right now it's showing park, but when it was acting up, it was showing reverse, and I'm not sure which switch was closed. I found in the service literature this transmission range switch states. If I looked up a rationality error code, but I don't have any rationality error codes. But in park, T41 and T42 are closed. T3, T1 is open. T41 is closed. T42 is closed. But this is confusing. Looking at this data, there's park, and then there's TMP1, and then reverse. Is that a position in between park and reverse? Because there's park, reverse, TMP2, neutral, neutral 2, TMP3, and then drive. I don't get it. What are all these positions? With the scan tool, perform the shift lever position test. Really? Well, let's see if we got a shift lever position test. I don't recall seeing that. Functional tests. No, unless these are key on, engine off. I would think it would be key on, engine off, but it might be key on, engine running. System tests. Clutch tests, quick learn. Miscellaneous functions, ECU information. Now I got to pick the data list again. Oh, I hate this. Let's graph these. I'm going to try and move the shift cable from underneath slightly towards reverse and see if anything changes here. Because it's currently in park. I'm going to grab a prying tool of some kind. Did anything change state? Nothing changed. Well, doesn't appear to be an adjustment issue. I'm not sure how to adjust this cable, but it pulls this way, pulls towards the engine to go into reverse. I almost needed to act up again so I could tell what's going on, but I can't. And when it did act up and I hit the shifter with my hand, but the other thing that bothers me is when it's working like it is now, I can put it in reverse and then I can shift from reverse to neutral to drive and back to reverse without stepping on the brake. But I could not do that when it was acting up. So something else is going on. I'm not convinced it's the shifter cable. Okay, so I'm going to shift it into reverse, then neutral, then drive, then neutral, then reverse, and then park. And now it indicates park. And I can hear the solenoid or the electric motor in the ignition lock. But when I put it in reverse, and if I shut the key off, I can still shift it without even stepping on the brake to neutral, drive, neutral, reverse. But I can't put it in park unless I step on the brake. So I'm not convinced that the problem is in that shift cable, but I'm going to see what the procedure is for adjusting it. Because we got to do something. I know there's a problem here. So the adjustment on this cable is right here. There's this little U-shaped plastic piece here. You pry it towards the drive shaft, and then you can move the cable back and forth a little bit. I've adjusted it to take any play out of the linkage. I did put it in reverse once while the transmission shifter was in park, and it indicated reverse on the instrument cluster, and the shifter wouldn't shift. But I'm not completely convinced that that's the problem, because I don't think I moved the adjustment. Just looking at where this is in here, it didn't change. So I'm going to look at the attachment point for the other end of the cable under the steering column. So I lengthened the shift cable at the adjustment about 1/16 of an inch. As I noticed that if I shortened it and it was actually in reverse when the gear shifter was in park, then I would be locked out and I wouldn't be able to move the shifter. And it goes into drive. I can't see anything wrong with the cable case. I thought maybe the case was cracked or something and it was coming loose, because the cable pushes to put it in park and pulls to put it in drive. I checked the linkage underneath the dash here where the cable attaches for play in the bushings, and there's no play. So we're going to give it back to the customer, and I might drive it for a day or so and see if it acts up.